Welcome to Country Pro Wrestling. This is the review of Dark Side of the Ring superstar Billy Graham. His real name was Wayne Coleman. He was from Arizona. Before wrestling, he was actually a professional bodybuilder. And he tried to play football in the CFL, which is the Canadian Football League, and failed. So he went back to the U.S. No. He actually met Stu Hart in a gym after he failed at the Canadian Football League. And Stu saw him and saw potential. So he trained him in a dungeon. And he worked for Stu. And when he was done his run with Stu, he went back home to Arizona. And he ran into Dr. Jerry Graham in a gym in Arizona. And he's like, I need another Graham brother. This guy fits the bill. And that's how he became Billy Graham. Excuse me. Jerry got fired for being a drunk, but they kept Billy on. In 1975, Vince McMahon Sr. called. Vince Sr.'s plan was to make him the WWF. Yes, kiddies, it used to have another W. It was called the Worldwide Wrestling Federation. And Vince Jr. took out one of the W's. He wanted to make him the champion because Bruno was ready to drop the title. He held it for 8 years, then he held it for like 2 more years. He held it for 8 years. He lost it. Then he held it for like 2 more years and needed to drop the title. And Vince McMahon Sr.'s formula was in the formula throughout the 70s and the 80s, at least, was to have a babyface champion. So they needed a transition between Bruno and the next babyface champion. And that transition would be Superstar Billy Graham. So he won the title. He held it for just over a year, which was the plan, to bring in Bob Backlund, and Bob Backlund became the champion. It's funny because Backlund evidently teamed with Steve Keirn. And Steve Keirn said he was a great wrestler. His promos were the drizzling fill in the blank. Which they definitely were. Cannot argue with Keirn there whatsoever. He badly abused painkillers and other medications. He OD'd more than once. And he took losing the title very poorly. He burned all his gear. People thought he died of cancer somewhere. Vince Jr. took well, before that, Vince Jr. had him come in. He was skinnier. He was slower. His body just wasn't up to it anymore. And so he decided not to make him his champion, not to make him, the big baby face that he had planned. And he had to let him go. So Vince being Vince took Hulk Hogan, Harry Bollea, and turned him into a babyface Billy Graham. Same promo, same 22-inch pythons. The whole bit was Billy Graham. And steroids had been a part of his life since the 1960s in bodybuilding. Keep in mind, until the late 80s, they were legal. And he actually testified against Dr. Zahorian in the steroid trial. And his wife said, that man sent tons of stuff to our house. And they talked about the episode of Phil Donahue with wrestling. I have tried to find it on YouTube to link it in the past and haven't had any luck. When his son, because he had a son and a daughter with his first wife, but he left her for Valerie, who stayed with the rest of his life. For 45 years, I think. And he didn't have a lot to do with his son, more so with his daughter. And even that was sporadic. His son changed his last name from Coleman to his mother's maiden name of Meluso. Billy got hepatitis C in the ring. Now, I want to stop and talk about that for a second because we're just about done. That is one of the big reasons why blading shouldn't be happening. Why getting color, juicing, gigging, whatever you want to call it, shouldn't be happening. I understand why certain matches need it, okay? Excuse me. As a wrestling person, I do understand that, but hepatitis is dangerous. Now, most forms of hepatitis do have vaccination. Not all of them. And like Graham said, the commingling of blood. These guys were always bleeding back then. So that's my kid missing video. I just think that, I don't know. I mean, they're going to bleed hard way anyway, just the nature of the business, but I think that they should be tested on a regular basis for hepatitis C. Because in some cases, hepatitis C can absolutely destroy the liver. Cause liver cancer, which happened to the person that lived in this very apartment. I mean, there are treatments for hepatitis C, but you need to know you have it. And he didn't know he had it until his liver was failing. So he had a transplant, but his liver also failed. Years later. His heart failed, everything failed. And he died in 2023. He did make amends with his son and his daughter. And by the way, him turning his life to Christ and going into the ministry after wrestling, he had always been his wife said, because he had worked in the ministry from time to time and was very good at it, and he had always been a believer, evidently. He just got more into working in service after he retired. Next week is Hot Stuff Eddie Gilbert. That's going to be a good one. Okay. Ugh. Okay. So, I will see you over on Punky's World. Also, check out the video on Kid Missing, which is going up as soon as I end this video. God bless you. Have a wonderful rest of your day. And I will see you next Wednesday. Bye, guys.